Hello world, and welcome to everybody in front of the screens globally. Welcome to the DE-CIX Interconnection Summit 2020, a very special edition, live from Madrid, live from this beautiful DE-CIX Interconnection virtual arena. And we built this arena together with our partners. Let me introduce you to Air Networks, Global Switch and Interaction. Thank you for supporting us. And thank you all in front of the screens being part of this show. It's about interconnection, it's about digitalization. The South of Europe is about our digital life. Stay tuned with us using the DE-CIX Summit, hashtag DE-CIX Summit, and share with us your thoughts, your opinions, actually everything you want to share with us. Please use this hashtag. We will have a lot of guests on stage. Let me introduce you to some of them, especially our friends in Spain, on the Iberian Peninsula, Maxime from Adamo, Zigor for Air Networks, Marco from Global Switch, and Robert from Interaction. They will support us through the show with more opinions and more facts around the topic of digital infrastructure in the South of Europe. It's a very special show for us in a very special year, a very special moment because of the crisis around the globe and in our lives. We all got locked, and our physical life actually became a different one. Our homes became offices, classrooms, universities, became the place of daily life. And this everything changed the way we organized ourselves, how we do business, how we do interact with friends, and how we do feel ourselves. But there is one element which became very active. This is the element of digitalization. Digital applications, they came into our daily life with a higher intensity. We start losing more and more collaborative tools, staying in touch with our colleagues, with our business partners. We used online gaming. Our kids got taught at home with digital classrooms, etc. So the digitalization became so obvious part of our daily life. And this led to the result that our industry, the internet infrastructure industry, experienced so far a really crazy year. Let me share with you the DE-CIX experience about this crazy situation, what we have experienced out of the usage of digital applications to this high intense. And there were tons of traffic on all platforms of DE-CIX around the globe. 50% general increase, almost doubling the traffic on applications like collaborative working tools, online gaming, streaming in general. And all this led to the result that we had more than 8 traffic records and 1 world traffic record even in Frankfurt when we passed on 9.1 tera. Amazing, and extremely proud of having done this without a single millisecond of interruption. Thank you, all of the people in the DE-CIX teams. Thank you all colleagues, thank you all partners, actually everybody in this industry making possible that during this entire time we were able to deliver the services to the people around the globe as they deserve it. How to compare the current pandemic situation with other crises our civilization has experienced over the time. And we looked into the past 120 years. And similar to those other big crises, so we believe that the COVID-19 crisis will be at the same time the beginning of a huge opportunity. And we call this opportunity a new era, a new digital era with a new deal. New deal for interconnection services. The digitalization will be needed and is needed everywhere for everything and everyone. Why this is the case? Because all of the sectors and all of the areas of our business and private life you see behind me on the wall now rely even more than ever before on digitalization. Because of applications and services, business applications like the applications we do have part in our daily lives already. Video conferencing, virtual desktops, up to the manufacturing sector where e-manufacturing is already in place. And also in our private lives, digital applications, they became extremely important and extremely heavy used. Let's see, applications like video streaming, streaming of live sports events, enjoying online gaming in communities. And also, of course, a very important new trend is the e-health trend. Up to, of course, very, I would say, sophisticated applications related more to logistics and mobility. The connected car needs are very close to digital infrastructure. And all these applications and services, they have something in common. And this something is related to the speed of light. We call it in our industry latency. All these applications, dear friends, are extremely latency sensitive. And I would say the max is around 65 milliseconds. Not more than 20 milliseconds are required to perform all these important applications in our business and private life with the performance everybody deserves. And if we look into the future, we will see that there is even more required, even lower latency required if we talk about sophisticated e-manufacturing, mobility-driven applications, etc. So we're talking about 1 to 2 to 3 milliseconds only. And if we translate this into distance, this means that we have to get the content and the applications really close to the users, the closest proximity possible. Everything this means one key lesson, a lesson which will guide us into the future. The latency becomes the new currency if it comes to quality and infrastructure services. And every single investment and service will depend on. It will depend on because it's so highly important for the performance and security, actually for the experience. And if we bring this in relation again to the geography, we see that smart applications like IoT applications, autonomous driving, they need to be performed in the closest proximity as possible, even in a range of 50 to 80 kilometers. Other applications like esports, like live streaming are also extremely latency sensitive, so they're in a range of 1,200 kilometers. And if we talk about the south of Europe, where our focus is in today, being entertaining you live from Madrid, you see what does this mean. All these applications, they have to get as close as possible to the users. That means in the south of Europe. Of course, we still have other applications, they can be performed further, but this is the max. You see, the max around 65 milliseconds covers an area of up to 5,500 kilometers, resulting into the area of influence of the south of Europe, of the Iberian Peninsula, up to the northeast coast of North America, and to the south of the east coast of South America, Africa, North Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, and parts of the Middle East. So this is a very important takeaway for our further discussion today. How digital infrastructure in the south of Europe should be developed, what is needed, what has been done, and should be done in the future. Talking about digital infrastructure, let's see the elements we're talking about. Digital infrastructure means these key elements. We do have the data centers, we do have the cables, we do have the interconnection, and this is what DE-CIX stands for, as key elements in the definition of digital infrastructure, and also very important other parts like the 5G technology, like the last mile investments and infrastructure, edge interconnection, low Earth orbit technology, the satellites, and more. So all of this we call digital infrastructure, and this digital infrastructure needs to get closer to businesses, to people, actually everywhere as close as possible to serve them, to serve their needs, to deliver the performance people need, bringing digital applications and content closer to the users, because it's all about this. This is the mandate of our industry, serving the users and delivering the best experience possible. Let us see what is the status on digital infrastructure in the south of Europe. The status of building up data centers, sea cables, and other types of infrastructure in the south of Europe. And for this, we want to concentrate first on data centers, cables, and other types of infrastructure, delivering and watching into insights from our partners on site. So let's see how they see the role of digital infrastructure in the south of Europe.
Madrid se ha convertido ya en el hub digital para el sur de Europa.
España se convierte en un hub de interconexión muy importante, sobre todo pues todos los cables submarinos que España-Portugal, todos los cables submarinos que aterrizan en los landing stations que tenemos por todo el territorio.
Los dos puntos principales siguen siendo Madrid y Barcelona, pero sobre todo Madrid. Están los puntos neutros como DE-CIX, que al final vemos que no ha parado de subir el tráfico en ese punto neutro. También vemos que ha ayudado a atraer a proveedores de contenidos que antes no estaban en España.
Madrid ahora es más importante, sobre todo por la llegada del DE-CIX, que ha aumentado la demanda por interconectarse en Madrid.
Madrid realmente pues podríamos considerar ya que también es una ciudad tier 1 con esta conectividad.
Toda esa conexión, bajar latencias y además conectarnos con este boom, ¿no? De digitalizarlo todo, de toda la nube, etcétera, etcétera, pues todo hace que en ese cóctel, pues que España y Portugal se conviertan en un hub de referencia a nivel mundial.
Internet no es solo ancho de banda, sino también es baja latencia. Entonces, cuanto más cerca estén los proveedores de contenidos, pues es mucho mejor para nuestros clientes. Cuanto mejor interconectada esté nuestra red con los demás operadores, pues mucho mejor para nuestros clientes. Entonces, los puntos neutros como DE-CIX es lo que facilitan. Para nosotros eso es muy importante en Internet.
Para nosotros la interconexión que ofrece DE-CIX es crucial. Es decir, ahora mismo no podríamos pensar en data centers estancos sin conectividad, sin accesibilidad a todo lo que son las distintas soluciones multicloud que existen.
En España la verdad es que DE-CIX juega un papel, hay otros puntos de intercambio, pero bueno, para mí hay una cosa importante y es la estabilidad que te ofrece, ¿no?
Great stuff happens in south of Europe, as we learned, in terms of data center developments, subsea cable investments, and other elements of digital infrastructure. Let us now look into another important element, which is interconnection, and this is what DE-CIX stands for. So let's discover together what is the status of interconnection in the south of Europe. And at that point of time, I am extremely happy to welcome one very special guest and colleague. She is the heart and the soul of DE-CIX South Europe. I want to welcome to the stage the Regional Director of DE-CIX South Europe, Teresa Bobis. Teresa, the floor is yours. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, Ivo. Thank you so much for a very inspiring welcome. I really appreciate being here at the DE-CIX virtual arena, and to all our customers, a warm welcome to all of you as well. Thank you.
Thank you for being the heart and the soul of a great journey we have created in the south of Europe. Let's watch and see what happened over the past 4 years. what an exciting journey. This has been spectacular. Just 4 years. In 4 years, this achievement, I think this is possible with the joint forces of the entire community. So thank you all for this. And Teresa, thank you for being behind this achievement. Now, please share with us more details. Let us dive deeper into the facts of this ecosystem.
Yes, Ivo, we have an intense and crazy years. In those last 4 years, we managed to make Madrid as the heart of the largest neutral interconnection ecosystem in the south of Europe. In the span of 4 years, we actually have 4 different established IXPs in Lisbon, in Madrid, in Palermo, and in Marseille. We have achieved close to 400 ASNs connected with 17 plus data centers within Southern Europe offering multiple services.
That's amazing.
Indeed,
yes.
It was. And you know, Southern Europe is not stopping there. It goes beyond. With one access in Southern Europe, they could actually manage to reach 17 global DE-CIX IXPs with 1,800 networks connected, 200 plus data centers globally, and multiple various interconnection services. That was just awesome that we have achieved this, and together with the collaborations of our customers and partners and colleagues, I'm very proud on what we have now for the south of Europe.
Thank you, and it's a very important step ahead to make it even bigger. And this is not the end. Being connected to all these different platforms in North America and Europe is not the end. Those networks can get also access to the other markets where DE-CIX has operation in and be part of the largest neutral interconnection ecosystem on the planet, consisting of 2,100 networks. This is amazing. 500 data centers around the globe with a full stack of multiple services, as you already mentioned.
Indeed.
This is a great story about the south of Europe. And I have one thing more.
Indeed.
It would not be a DE-CIX Summit, and you know me, if we would not have breaking news. Something new, always. And the new today is another baby in the ecosystem of the south of Europe in this very special year of the 25th anniversary of DE-CIX. As you know, we celebrate this, our big birthday year. We announced the 25th IXP, I would say, start for DE-CIX Barcelona.
Yay! Welcome to our new baby, DE-CIX Barcelona.
We're extremely proud to celebrate this with all of you today, and this is a great addition to another level of serving the market in the south of Europe, another level for better services with another market. Barcelona has a very special positioning there. So what do you think will be the next steps there? Why Barcelona has been selected so far?
I would like to actually share this with you because we believe that Barcelona has now a vibrant community in terms of digital ecosystem, having new landing stations being built there. But probably you have some special guests for us to tell us more about Barcelona, on how we could go the journey there together.
Yes, indeed, Teresa. We have a very special guest in our DE-CIX Interconnection virtual arena. And I'm extremely happy to welcome live on stage Mr. David Ferrer, Secretary of Digital Policy from the Catalan government. David, it's a great pleasure having you on stage, sir. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ivo. I'm very, very happy to be here with you and with all the people of DE-CIX ecosystem. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's nice to see you here to be part of our summit. My first question to you is, what do you think is the value of our DE-CIX partnership, or our presence, of DE-CIX presence in Barcelona?
Yeah, it's very important for our strategy. We have been working on for several years in 4 pillars to advance in our competitiveness in terms of connectivity. And we would like to improve the international connectivity here in Catalonia regarding with submarine cable systems. We would like to promote best network resilience. We would like to ensure access for affordability of digital services and ensure an institutional framework are fit for this purpose. And it means to improve not our network interconnection capabilities, so to guarantee that the businesses and the public administration has the best digital services. And one of our milestones is attract the leaders companies in their respective markets. And I think it's the leader in the network interconnection because offers access to large number of peering partners and carriers and has the best technical and human team too.
This is a very essential point, David, mentioning digital infrastructure in terms of subsea cable investments being now focused on the area and the market of Barcelona, but also beyond this, of course. And as we mentioned already today, Barcelona has been already focused as one of the markets in the south of Europe with a great potential for the future. We as DE-CIX plan to establish a platform which will offer a variety of different services, not interconnection for wholesale telecommunication operators and content delivery networks, but also services which will empower enterprises and businesses to invest more into digital growth, services like cloud connectivity, etc. So I want to learn more from you, David. How is the strategy of the Catalan government if it comes to encouraging digital business growth in Barcelona and in the entire region?
From my perspective, factors such as digitalization and the increasing teleworking, the growing of use of commerce and e-commerce, and video streaming and 5G networks, but above all, the implementation of the new submarine cables landing station in Barcelona will give a great boost of demand for data centers. So Catalonia has a geostrategic location in the Mediterranean and allows it to provide service to itself, as well as the eastern third of the Spain and the south of France, areas where has more than 30 million people are concentrated, almost doubling the population in summer. So we have a deep strategy in these terms, and the Catalan digital policies has 5 dimensions: connectivity, human capital, use of internet, integration of digital technology, and digital public services. And we have been working from 10 years in terms of improved our digital infrastructures to provide better networks and better services for our businesses and population.
And this is exactly what we have been focused on today. Better services and better internet performance or digital service experience to both businesses and people, as you mentioned. And we certainly all agree that there is a need for another hub in the Mediterranean basin for better resilience and better redundancy next to already existing hubs like Marseille or Madrid or Lisbon or beyond. Thank you so much for this enlightening discussion. I want to thank you for your time contribution to this very special virtual interconnection summit live from Madrid, and wish us all a great success and very productive future if it comes to establishing in Barcelona the next hub for interconnection.
Thank you very much, Ivo.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
I want to thank you, Teresa, as well, being part of the journey on stage if it comes to the South of European development we have achieved over the past 4 years. I'm really looking forward to a great future, adding more and more services in this exciting region of Europe.
Indeed, Ivo, we have a new baby again, DE-CIX Barcelona, and thank you for having me here today, and thank you to all of you, and goodbye. Enjoy the show.
Great stuff happens in the south of Europe, especially with the latest edition of DE-CIX Barcelona. Now, let's open up the stage in this beautiful virtual interconnection arena in Madrid and look at the role the south of Europe will play in the future for the rest of the world. We decided to invite a lot of different friends, stakeholders, partners involved in our industry to share their vision on the role of South of Europe for the rest of the world. Let's start with the opinion of a global operator like Telxius. We invited Carlos, head of EMEA sales at Telxius, to share with us the strategy of Telxius around South of Europe and put this in perspective to their strategic role.
The role of South Europe is going to be critical in the next years. The content now is moving to the edge and getting closer to the customers. And in this sense, and having all the submarine cables that we have in the south of Europe landing, not only historic ones, but the new state-of-the-art cables, this is going to bring a lot of traffic. And Spain is ready to be the digital gateway for the south of Europe. Of course, we will be the new bridge to Africa and Asia for these contents. We are ready, and there's a lot of elements to create this ecosystem. And of course, Spain is a very clear alternative to the hotspots in Northern Europe, the historic ones: Frankfurt, London, Amsterdam, and Paris. So right now, Lisbon, Madrid, and Barcelona, and Marseille will be the next ones in this race. Well, DE-CIX is a very good partner. We have been working for them years now. We are now also working and analyzing how they could be included and into Derio data center in the north of Spain, so that they could be flourishing all the ISPs in Spain and giving the good service that they have to all these companies. Well, Marea is the newest cable now in operation. So low latencies from Marseille to the Washington area is the shortest route to connect the pole in Marseille and in Madrid, with all the cables landing in those cities, to Washington, and from there to the south of the States, to Miami. So at the end, it has improved a lot the latencies and the reachability of the contents in some regions, southern in the US and Europe.
Listening to Carlos, I couldn't agree more. That's all about a lot of new sea cables. They do not land in the north of Europe anymore. They land in the south of Europe, looking for the shortest path between the continents. And of course, metros like Madrid, hubs like Barcelona, Lisbon, and Marseille will become the new homes, are already becoming the new homes for a lot of content delivery networks, content networks in general, cloud service providers, actually home of the big global telecommunication and internet industry. And this is certainly based on the fact that traffic is not moving eastwards only, it's moving southwards. And southwards, this is the next direction of our journey out of South of Europe. Let's visit Africa. And we invited two friends to share with us their opinion and their vision about the role of South Europe. Norman Albi from Afrix and Antonio Nunes. Let's listen to them about their opinion on how South Europe will perform in the future.
The role of Southern Europe as interconnection is growing every day. Today for us, Lisbon is the main interconnection point because we bring all traffic from Africa, and at this moment in time for the Atlantic Africa, Lisbon is the place where all the submarine cables land. So today, about 70% of the traffic that we are taking out of Africa terminates in Lisbon at this moment in time. And Marseille, in the other side, in the Med, plays the same game for the Western Africa, for the Eastern Africa cables. What we see every time is a higher level of edge content coming to Southern Europe, and also we see a trend over the submarine cables to increase the landing sites in Southern Europe. So we expect a growth in traffic. We are seeing growth in traffic of 45% in the last years, and we expect a growth in the total content to be located in Southern Europe. Not only the edge, if not the main data centers, to be located also in the southern part of Europe. Until now, several years ago, Africa had 100% of the contents hosted in Europe. Okay, and then this has migrated now to 70% of them, so 30% are already coming into Africa, and we find them in Africa itself. But where all these contents that are hosted in Africa, they come from? Finally, they come from Europe, because the main trend for the interconnectivity from data centers, for the interconnectivity of operators is vertical, it's north and south. So the contents normally are stored initially in the European side, and they are coming into Africa and propagated in Africa.
The role of the South Europe for Angola cables in Africa is the entrance door for Europe for us, because in terms of latency, there are the cities that are closer to us. So we use the south of Europe to get the door of entrance to Europe. And we use also a lot of connectivity from Lisbon point of view to link directly to USA, because Portugal starts to have also cables going there. And instead to jump to London or to other places, we can also go directly from Lisbon or from Portugal to the States. So this is to keep the low latency of the connections on the south as much as possible. Because, for example, South Africa have a very big team of professional gamers that are playing from South Africa point of view. But that gamers have a very big constraint, because in order to play with the US, for example, they have to migrate to Europe, because the latency was very, very big. So the same happens with Brazil, for example, okay? And if we talk about Angola, it's even worse. Now, with this connectivity, with this platform operational, people and gamers are so happy because they have now a specific path for them, and they are using these paths in a very efficient way. So they are very happy, and I think it's a very good opportunity for this industry to grow up in terms of Africa. It's very important that today Angola have these international connections, because when you are isolated in terms of physical isolation, at least you have these digital bridges that are operational, and we can keep trading with other people, we can keep having relationships with other people. Just yesterday, for example, we got a webinar with the UK, okay, where a minister of UK was present, a minister of Angola was present, the embassy of UK in Angola was present. Means that even the economical and political relationship with the countries itself, not only business, but in the countries, still be on because of that infrastructure is in place.
Thank you, Norman, and thank you, Antonio, for sharing your perspective on the role of South Europe for Africa, and fully agree. It's about latency, it's about a close proximity to the users, and the south of Europe became over time and will be even more important for the future if it comes to concentration of content and cloud and other applications closer to the users on the African continent, bridging the continent, literally interconnecting East Coast African traffic flows, West Coast African traffic flows, using the positioning of hubs like Lisbon and Marseille, and of course guided by the importance of Madrid and Barcelona. This creates the ecosystem which saves a lot of latency and improves the quality for African-related traffic flows. Just one interesting fact, interconnecting and the Iberian Peninsula saves all African networks 30 milliseconds, comparing this to interconnection in London. And this is a huge benefit if it comes to services, as I mentioned earlier, like live esports or live streaming of events in general. They need the lowest latency possible, and 30 millisecond saving are gold. So now, let's continue our journey to another market. Now, let's see how another continent is related to South Europe. And we will cross the ocean talking about the importance of South Europe to North America. We have as guest Andy Brax from Seaborn, and I'm really looking forward to learn more from Andy about his vision about the role of South Europe for North America.
Connection to Europe is predominantly important for our customers, and our customers are large ISPs, some governments, some content providers, and some content, I guess the word is ingesters. So they ingest content and then they redistribute it in the region. Access to European sporting events is huge throughout the region, not just in Brazil, but throughout Latin America. And be able to see that live in a high quality and a good quality connection is super important. So our relationship and connection and working together with DE-CIX, that enables not only access to that content in a stable format, because we've got an end-to-end service together, working together, we provide this end-to-end connection, but it's highly scalable, it's very resilient, and it's high quality. And that's what end users in the region are looking for now. The days of watching a grainy picture and you can't even see what's going on, they're gone. Everyone wants to watch it, they want to stream it, they want to see it in HD, and they want it real time. And that's really where this connection into Europe really plays into our strategy and our ongoing strength in the region. That's where I get excited. I get excited about thinking like Central America, Caribbean. And Caribbean is 30 countries, it's 50 million people. If that was a country, we'd be building cables to that left, right, and center. If that was a country on its own, if that was 30 cities with 50 million people, it'd be really well connected. Because it's 30 countries, it's kind of out in the open right now. It's not part of this new, infrastructure boom that we've seen everywhere else. And I think there's huge opportunities there. And I'm sure, if we look around the world, there's plenty of other places just like that where, getting more people connected is going to be the exciting part of the next probably 5 to 10 years. It's not an overnight thing, can't be done easily, but the benefits are huge if we can do that. That's why I get excited about the future for us.
Exciting times ahead of us. I could not agree more with Andy that the next years will be even more exciting if it comes to infrastructure. Will bring North America and Europe, bring people closer together because of better experience, using all these new developments of the subsea cable side and having more and more interconnection services in the south of Europe, serving also North American traffic flows. And bridging continents is important because this brings people together. And there are two parts on the planet which are already very close to each other, language-wise, south of Europe and South of America. So let's see what will happen in the future about bridging those two continents even closer to each other in terms of internet infrastructure. We have in the show two very good friends, Diego from Elelink and Eric from GlobeNet. I'm really looking forward to listening to them about the role of South Europe if it comes to getting closer to the people in South America.
South of Europe is becoming a big telecommunication hub. So it's becoming a very important place for traffic, for internet traffic and international traffic. The last 5 years, we have seen a shift of traffic towards South of Europe, mainly due to submarine cables. I mean, at the moment, you know that 97% of the international traffic between continents goes on submarine cables, not satellite, as many people might think. We see a traffic corridor, like in the old times, so the traffic used to go to the north of Europe, to the UK, but as we get more submarine cables coming down to like France and in Spain, and the effect of Marseille has a big effect, a big gravitational effect on traffic. The other element that is making the Southern Europe a big hub for telecommunication is the development of new data centers. I mean, you need infrastructure, you need fiber, and you need data centers, okay? I mean, I would like to remind that more than 90% of the international traffic flows between data centers. So there is an important element as well. So what we have here is we have Spain, we have Portugal, we have southern France, shifting the traffic, and all these places are being connected with terrestrial fiber. So we can see that a big hub of telecommunication is getting created. Southern Europe is important for the Latin American market because geographically it's closer, right? So it's the door to enter into the bigger Europe, right? So if we have to draw a line, the shortest line that connects Europe to Latin America, that line should go to Southern Europe. By connecting our cable that has 6,300 kilometers between Portugal and Brazil, we are cutting by half the route that the traffic takes now. You know that 98% of the traffic of Latin America comes to Europe through the US. So it has to go up and then it has to cross the Atlantic. We're basically drawing a direct line connecting the two continents, and we have chosen Southern Europe because it's the closest place. At the end, you know, internet is about delay, it's about the speed, right? So if we bring a faster connection, we are putting people closer. And I think that our business is about that. It's about putting business and people closer.
Southern Europe provides an area of very strong interconnectivity, right? So if you want to connect the world and you want to have diverse paths, right? Traditionally, those connections were US, were London, and now you're starting to see a market developing around Marseille, where you not only have Southern European content, but you also have all these cable systems that are coming from Africa, that are coming from India, that are coming, let's say, from other parts of the world, and either through Marseille, in the future, perhaps Barcelona, definitely through Lisbon, they're coming together. So it's not only about the content, right? It's also about the fact that once you reach the Southern European hemisphere, from there you can actually jump, let's say, to other markets. GlobeNet today is probably the largest partner in connecting Latin American networks through the DE-CIX platform. We've been doing that for many years through the DE-CIX product that we have, and we're providing basically virtual connectivity to DE-CIX. And the larger number of internet addresses, you know, IP peers, ISPs, and so on, are connecting through the GlobeNet exchange across the network directly into DE-CIX. And that's one of the things that we have seen over the last couple of years. We've seen many of our carrier customers, right, or our content customers are basically saying, hey, I want to go to Europe, I want to go to DE-CIX, I want to go to Southern Europe. So it's a combination of things, right? The connectivity, it's the content that either we have or that is in Southern Europe, right? And the fact that from there you can reach other markets.
South of Europe being the entry door for Latin networks in interconnecting with European ones and beyond. And this is what I see as the next big trend, concentration of this kind of interconnection in the south of Europe. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Diego. Thank you, all of you contributing to sharing the same vision. And look at the role of south of Europe. Because of its geographic positioning, it's so natural to see all these trends, to see all these investments in the south of Europe for subsea cables and other type of infrastructure. Because you remember at the beginning, we discussed about latency, and let's take this again on stage. The 65 milliseconds are magical, because within the radius of 65 milliseconds, we can deliver high performance and experience on digital services. And the south of Europe is so well positioned, covering the 65 milliseconds area, including east and west coast of Africa, bridging Latin to the south of Europe, and North American networks can interconnect there as well with the African, the South American, European, and beyond Middle East and Far East networks. So it literally becomes a new crossroad for traffic flows, for interconnection, and in general, infrastructure business. a new crossroad because of the proximity to all these continents and the proximity to users. So let's think again about the relation of latency to distance. And we talked about the very sensitive applications like e-manufacturing and automotive. Applications around 1 to 2 milliseconds requirements. If we dot the spot of the distance in the heart of the south of Europe, let's take Madrid, place it there. Within 50 to 80 kilometers, 1 to 2 milliseconds, we can cover services for 6 million people. This is very, very relevant. And what do you think, dear friends in front of the screens? How many people can be covered out of south of Europe if we stay within the magical 65 millisecond radius? What is your guess? We have it. It's 1.6 billion. This is not relevant only. This is amazing and extremely important for the quality of services all these people deserve in all these parts of this world. Because it's about their business and private life. That's about their life disregarding in which area. We all agreed already on this. And talking about the life of people, it's not about entertainment, it's not about gaming, it's not about streaming, enjoying beautiful movies. It's also about doing business, achieving business growth as part of the economic growth. So let's focus on business now. Let's talk about business and digital business as the backbone of economic growth for the future. Let's ask ourselves and let's ask our partners and friends how internet infrastructure can support the needs of enterprises in the future for economic growth based on their digital services and the digital transformation which already started to happen everywhere. We have asked again our partners and friends on site to share with us their vision about the new demand of interconnection services, new services for better future of growth with enterprises.
Con las videoconferencias, el trabajo remoto, los niños en casa, todo el mundo un poco se ha dado cuenta de que tener una buena conexión en casa es muy importante. El teléfono ha pasado un poco a ser más secundario porque todo el mundo estamos haciendo videoconferencias, entonces un poco lo que importan son los datos.
Con el confinamiento vimos que el tráfico móvil bajó muchísimo en datos, ¿vale? Aumentó en lo que es voz, en llamadas.
El COVID realmente no cambió el perfil de cliente. Simplemente puso en valor nuestro modelo de negocio basado en la interconexión entre redes y comunidades de interés.
Ahora mismo los clientes han evolucionado y ven en el data center un sitio en el que pueden tomar ventaja de toda la interconexión que garantiza un centro de datos.
Sobre todo trabajamos a nivel residencial y donde hemos visto más del incremento ha sido a ese nivel. En las empresas, en el sector pymes, donde hemos visto un poco más de movimiento porque son los que han notado esa necesidad y quizás los que estaban menos preparados.
El servicio que más hemos visto crecer es el Virtual Desktop, o sea, que es tu escritorio en la nube, también accesos de VPN, firewalls en la nube, toda la parte de seguridad como servicio.
Hay un aumento en la demanda de servicios, sobre todo relacionado con el cloud computing, pero también todos los servicios basados en las redes.
Estamos trabajando para ofrecer propuestas de valor añadido y siempre rodeado de partners estratégicos como es el caso de DE-CIX.
Que muchas empresas, pues si ya lo estaban haciendo antes de mover muchos de sus servicios al cloud, pues ahora pues esa tendencia vemos que va a ser mayor.
Estamos provisionando servicios, estamos ofreciendo a todos estos nuevos jugadores para el tema de gaming, fintech, todo el tema de media, streaming, IoT, business intelligence.
El teletrabajo un poco ha venido para quedarse, pero para que eso sea posible se necesitan buenas conexiones y a día de hoy es algo que estamos haciendo posible.
It's about cloud, 5G, virtual desktops. This is what we have listened from the visions of our partners, all terms related to technologies which support businesses around the globe. And in these special times, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, all people involved in business, they discovered the importance of digitalization. Where we have been physically locked, companies needed to stay interconnected with their customers, partners, interconnected with their systems. Everything was based on digitalization and is based and will be based on digitalization. We see on the wall different industry areas, the way we travel, the way we enjoy mobility, the way we get entertained and will entertain, the learning, the e-health being so important to all of us these days, the way we produce food, we consume food, and in general, the way we live in terms of business services supporting our life is entirely digital. Entirely digital doesn't mean that everything is digital, of course, but even a company today which has a non-digital product, like the t-shirt I'm wearing now, has digital systems and processes behind the manufacturing. And this will become even more in the future. And in simple words, the accelerated digitalization of enterprises will become one of the key factors for developing the new era, the new age of the digital infrastructure future. And I'm extremely happy to have a very special guest with me in the DE-CIX Interconnection Arena in Madrid today, a man who is leading a company which is very much involved into one of these sectors, the sector of mobility and logistics. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to invite to the stage Mr. Jaime Rodriguez de Santiago, who is the general manager of FreeNow. FreeNow is a company which I get in touch very, very early when it was called My Taxi, and I was one of the first customers in Germany. Jaime, it's a great pleasure having you in the DE-CIX Arena. Welcome to the stage, and I would say, hola, ¿qué tal?
The pleasure is mine. Thank you so much for the invitation, Ivo. Very happy to be here.
You're very welcome, and it's a great opportunity for all of us to listen to you, to listen to your thoughts about digitalization and your business, because your business is so close to experience, to performance. So please share with us the digital status of FreeNow today.
Well, FreeNow was born as a digital company, as you know. What we do is a pure digital business model. We connect supply and demand. We connect passengers that need to take a trip with drivers, either taxi drivers or private hire vehicle drivers. So the entire business model is based on digitalization. Of course, it's a very big transformation for a traditional industry like it's a taxi industry, and as well it's a very big transformation for an industry like the car manufacturers industry. We are our shareholders are Daimler and BMW, so it's been kind of a change of mindset in these two industries. The way we operate is we are an asset-light business, but a data-heavy business. We have to rely a lot on data. Our entire business is based on connecting people, so it's entirely based on using infrastructures to have access to data, to quick communications, and to low latency communications. So I think we're probably quite advanced in the digitalization curve, but obviously our business model evolution in the future will depend on the evolution of the entire infrastructure and the digitalization of everyone around us.
Oh yes, and if I listen to you, and I know this, of course, two competitors actually, Daimler and BMW, they decided to join forces and create this type of business together, which is an exciting story, by the way. Shows us that sometimes a win-win situations around digitalization can be achieved. And having said this, I'm wondering what will happen in general, from your point of view, in the car industry in the next years with companies like your shareholders, Daimler and BMW, in terms of digitalization?
I'm not sure I know, but I would suspect that it has a lot to do with the underlying current or trend that we've all lived in the recent years, in which all of us have gone from an ownership perspective to an access perspective. We no longer listen to music in CDs, we stream music. And most of us are moving away from the ownership of a car into having access to mobility in whatever shape or form or service that we need at a particular point in time. So I would suspect that the car manufacturing industry is going to move in two directions. One would be more heavily investing in business like ours that make mobility as a service, and in the other side, they would probably need to evolve into a more of a fleet producer or manufacturer, so that they enable these businesses to happen on top of the cars being the infrastructure.
So from a car selling into mobility services company, I fully share this vision. And yeah, we all know the name Free now. We know Park now. So Jaime, what will be the next now?
I think there's a very exciting period of, I would say, 3 to 5 years ahead in the mobility industry. There's going to be two big trends. One is consolidation. There's still a lot of companies doing this around the world, and it's probably going to get more consolidated. The other one is all of these companies will compete to become the aggregator, let's call it the Google of mobility, the one that brings all these services, not only ride-hailing, but also scooters, public transports, etc., into one single app that you can use anytime, right? Our ambition is to be that app. We have a very somehow generic name compared to Drive Now or Park Now, just because we have the ambition of becoming that aggregator, that the one that brings all of that together into a single app. That's going to take quite a bit of time and quite a bit of investment and technology, but that's the evolution that we foresee, and that's the path that we have ahead of us.
Oh, that's a clear vision which relies on digitalization entirely, aggregation of data, and as you said, everywhere, ideally for everybody. Having said this, my last question is, what do you need from us representing digital infrastructure to support this vision at its best?
I mean, digital infrastructure is essentially what helps us to exist, like what enables us to exist. Our business is based on, at a very simple level, GPS plus telecommunications, right? And in that sense, we will definitely need more evolution in terms of low latency systems, probably 5G, more precise geolocalization, and moreover, the ability to connect services between them. So as I said, we ambition to integrate all of those services, which means essentially interconnected networks, right? So this business is going to become even more data heavy, even more real-time oriented, and that's going to require much faster, reliable, and capable infrastructure from networks to data centers. I think all of that will be needed, and that's something that we will see very rapidly exploding in the next 3 to 5 years.
This is exactly what we think and stay for and will deliver in the future. And dear friends, I didn't ask Jaime to tell us all this before the interview, so I'm so happy you can confirm what we all have in mind, and we'll do our best again to support the digitalization in the mobility services business. Thank you so much for being part of our very special Interconnection Summit. Many greetings to the entire team, and please stay healthy and see you very soon.
Likewise, thank you very much, Ivo. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Mobility services will definitely play a very important role if it comes to interconnection services as a driver for the needs of enterprises in this industry sector. And we at DE-CIX, we have asked ourselves what kind of services exactly will be needed to meet this demand. And we picked up an industry sector which is extremely important because it's innovative and already so much into digitalization, the industry sector of the automotive industry. And we created a use case around this, talking to a lot of experts, a lot of analysts, but even more important, to the automotive companies themselves, and learning from them what is needed to be done to meet their demand for future services. So we asked them what kind of data is related to the connected car. Let's see the connected car as an ecosystem already of different type of data. And if you look at the alternatives, we see they are almost unlimited. Data types which are needed to be incorporated into the car, data which is produced by the car, and we see how many different types can be used, and for entertainment, for security, for improving the traffic management, etc., etc. So plenty of options. So as a next, we asked what is the general nature of the data if it comes to the connected car or interconnected car. And the answer is that the total volume of data, which is huge, can be actually divided into two main types: data in the car and data outside the car or leaving the car. The data in the car, those 70%, is data which stays in the car and can be offloaded at night time or in a quiet minute or a quiet hour in a garage. But the other 30% are extremely important. They are important because they're extremely latency sensitive. This is data related to the communication between cars, so car-to-car data. This is data car to cloud, and this is data car to environment, which means car to different sensors and different signs on the street, etc. So these 30% are extremely important if it comes to security and performance. They are extremely important for interconnection services between the different cars and between the network of the car manufacturer and the networks of all these other data suppliers and receivers. So we asked ourselves and asked the industry representatives, how do you do this today? What is I would say, the conventional approach? And the conventional approach has something in common. It's an MPLS network, usage of IP transit and a multi-cloud solution. They all lead to the result of a best effort. This is the best effort solution. This is what the conventional approach has in common. And the result of the best effort is that there is no control, end-to-end control of the traffic flow. The traffic flow between the car and the network which want to deliver the data or receive the data. So let's think what this does create, and it creates challenges. So the majority of the industry representatives, they describe these challenges as performance challenges, because the more intermediates you have between the two networks who want to talk to each other, the network of the car and the network which delivers data into the car or receives data out of the car, the worse the performance is, the higher the latency is. This creates also security issues related to DDoS attacks, IP hijacking, etc., as well as compliance. Because if you do not control the value chain, you cannot control compliance. And there is a lot of compliance requirements today. There are a lot of requirements today related to regulatory, related to legal, related to even the company-owned compliance requirements if it comes to intellectual property and business secrets, protecting their business secrets. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen and dear friends, if you think again about the hundreds and probably thousands of organizations who want to deliver data into the car and receive data created by the car, by the hundreds and thousands of sensors, we will have a big complexity issue. And I want to illustrate this just using examples, only 28 in this case. If a car company wants to interconnect with even 28, and in the reality there will be hundreds and thousands different organizations who want to deliver data into the car and use data produced by the car, we will end up into 1,000 bilateral interconnections and relationships nobody actually can efficiently manage. And this is a nightmare for every single engineer. So we thought how this can be solved. And it can be solved. It can be solved using existing logic, the logic of interconnection as we have it in our ecosystems. The interconnection in a direct way between the two parties directly, using the very efficient principle of one-to-many, aggregating the traffic instead of multiple bilaterals. And look, the magic is there. The complexity disappears. We see one clean environment where the car network can interconnect with all participants who want to deliver data into the car and receive data out of the car in one protected and very efficient environment. And ladies and gentlemen, dear friends in front of the screens, this is the fundament and the logic behind the concept of DE-CIX I want to introduce to you today. It's my pleasure to introduce the DE-CIX Enterprise Interconnection Federation as our answer to the world of services an enterprise will need for the future of their performance needs, the needs of their businesses, and the needs of the services they want to deliver to their customers. This solution provides an answer to how, in a closed environment, an enterprise network, in this case the car network, can interconnect with other networks, meeting the complexity, reducing the complexity, meeting the complexity issue, reducing it, increasing the security, improving the performance, and creating a manageable compliance. In these environments, all these issues can be solved because the environment is protected. And believe me, every single legal department in a big organization will be happy to manage 50 ecosystems like this instead of 50,000 bilateral contracts. This is what it counts at the end. So how these small, very, very efficient, private and secure virtual ecosystems can be placed? There is a natural place for this. There are existing ecosystems. Let's take as example the ecosystems of DE-CIX. We have, as of today, as I mentioned in the beginning, already 2,100 connected networks across the globe. And those networks are already, some of them, networks who do serve the finance industry, the automotive industry, the healthcare industry. They participate in these value chains already. So placing those protected new ecosystems related to different stakeholders in the industries is a very natural environment to have them within those ecosystems, but in a more protected way. So look, there are closed user groups, how we call them, owned by one enterprise dictating their policy they need to meet with in terms of security, performance, compliance, etc. So it's everything protected and at the same time very efficiently interconnected using the advantages of existing ecosystems. And if a couple of organizations decide to create a common policy because they have common needs and they have common regulatory probably requirements, they can decide to create a common policy and bring this together into a federation by sector like automotive, finance, healthcare, etc., etc. Ladies and gentlemen, the DE-CIX Enterprise Interconnection Federation is our concept. We want to offer to the industry world, meeting their demand for accelerated digitalization, demand for services resulting of the digital transformation everywhere, for every single type of business. And I believe this is the right answer, but I'm even more happy to have a very special guest in the studio. I want to talk to about the DE-CIX Enterprise Interconnection Federation and validate, is this concept the right answer for different industries, not only the car and automotive industry. Let me introduce you, please, to Mr. Bob Gill, who is now live on stage, Vice President at Gartner.
Thank you, Ivo. It's a pleasure.
And we had a lot of discussions today already with different stakeholders around the globe about digitalization in general, digitalization in business in general. What are the biggest trends you see if we take in mind the digital transformation trends for enterprises?
Well, we look at interconnection as the digital glue for tying together all these digital assets. The bottom line is infrastructure, as you know, is becoming everywhere. So it used to be that we centralized things in data centers, whether we were talking about mainframes, whether we were talking about even hyperscale cloud, and everyone had this notion of going to one place. And one of the things that we're finding going forward is as infrastructure is consumed from SaaS providers, cloud providers, our on-prem data center, our compatriots, our colleagues, other enterprises in our value chain, what we really need to be able to do is to interconnect all these assets in a strategic way, in a predictable and secure way, in a low latency way, so that we can achieve our goals of having all these assets communicate and operate properly. So all the digitalization you've been speaking about is wonderful, but what we've got to do is be able to tie all these things together, which is one of the things that interconnection provides.
And I couldn't agree more. We even came today to the result that latency is really so crucial for all these different applications. We will see even more in the future that we really have to make sure that the infrastructure, especially interconnection, delivering the service around this can provide performance below even 20 milliseconds. So as we call it, the latency is the new currency. Having said this, and keeping in mind the different applications, but also different trends within different sectors, which are the industry sectors you see as the early adopters if it comes to engagement into digital infrastructure and interconnection?
What we're finding is that there's different tiers of interconnection, and it's almost like an evolution of man. That famous wood carving where it showed moving from different types of early prototypical humans into today's man. What we find is the same thing happening in interconnection, where we're moving from using interconnection as just a way to more intelligently link our data centers together, and then perhaps as a way to redesign the WAN, and then moving on to cloud on-ramping and distributed cloud on-ramping. And then past that, what we even see is people looking at these distributed assets as a new base infrastructure. And so when we really talk about verticals, we can talk about edge computing being very active, for example, with interconnection in retail or the industrial world. The fact is, basic interconnection, I'm seeing demand in everything from breakfast cereal to the largest banks, because each one of them is attacking a different point along that evolutionary chain.
This reminds me on one thought I had with a representative of a regulatory authority in Europe regulating the finance sector, and you mentioned the finance sector. He told me, we start looking into policies which will make sure that the banks, the financial institutions, will mitigate better a cloud concentration risk. So I believe this is also one of the key challenges in the industry, and interconnection can help, of course, to make the right distribution and selection of different cloud service providers, and at the same time make sure that being properly interconnected in a diverse way, that is also physical diversity in the access to different cloud networks.
Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree more, because one of the things we find is that cloud is not going to be the 100% platform for every business and every industry. That's clear. In many industries, they're talking about 30, 40, maybe 50% moving to the cloud. The other is very few enterprises or agencies in any vertical are really concentrating on one cloud. So virtually everyone we speak to already has selected a hyperscale cloud provider to use, as well as multiple SaaS providers to use, whether that's for common office applications or for some other infrastructure purposes. But what we're beginning to see is more and more enterprises using multiple hyperscale cloud providers, much like we might have in the past, used different operating systems and different hardware platforms. So your point is exactly right on, is not just for risk mitigation of one particular cloud, which I can see in a regulated environment, but the fact is we're going to have different levels of penetration of cloud into all these enterprises and multiple clouds, and that's why interconnection in a cloud-independent fashion, as we're talking about here, is so critical.
Yes, couldn't agree more, and this brings me to the next thought. Today I just presented in the show the concept of DE-CIX created about services for enterprises. If it comes to interconnection, we call it the DE-CIX Enterprise Interconnection Federation as a concept for a world of services based on a simple idea using the good old extranet concept. Of course, refreshing this and translating this into the new world with different demands, representing different policies, different compliance policies, security policies, and offering a product to enterprises for interconnection in a closed user group so they can control better their environment, at the same time reducing complexity and increasing efficiency. So do you think this is something which can be successfully introduced on internet exchanges around the globe as a next age of next generation of interconnection services to a new type of customers, the enterprises?
Absolutely, because what we're talking about when we talk about something like the internet is almost a highway system with absolutely no limitations. And one of that's a positive thing, but from the negative, point of view, is we have issues of what kinds of traffic, what kind of quality of service, what kind of vehicles are on that highway, and so on. And if what you're talking about is the ability to create user groups or federations, that gives us a chance to optimize traffic for purposes of things like security and latency and performance and quality of service. And we're already seeing that from some of the cloud providers. So the notion of being able to carve off pieces for purposes of management and higher level services and additional functionality is absolutely a part of the future.
Bob, listening to you, I really got the feeling that we should be grateful being able to participate in a time where we'll see a huge innovation boost over the next couple of years, and being part of this is really exciting.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I'm thinking back over the last 41 or 42 years in industry, and each year was a year that I was more and more excited by things that I thought it couldn't get any more exciting than this.
Absolutely right.
I've been talking about this notion for the last 40 years of having assets all around the world and being able to link those together into a more meaningful whole. And back, 30 years ago, I was using X25 and other previous technologies, and then we went to packet switching and went to the internet. When we look at how far we've come in the last 5 or 10 years, as far as the ability to interconnect things, but also the intelligence on top of the networks. So the networks are so much more reliable and faster, more powerful, but now the ability to interconnect them and have overlay services to provide more and more functionality. It's almost as if we're introducing electricity all over again, moving from everyone generating their own electricity to using substations. Now it's to the point that we're using this as a information platform or utility. And there are so many services and so many capabilities that have come along every 3 months, 6 months, every year, that something from 5 years ago almost looks like ancient history.
Oh, wow. This is inspiring end of a great chat. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much of being live on stage with us in the DE-CIX Interconnection virtual arena in Madrid. Have a great rest of the day and stay healthy. Thank you.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, now we are at the end of an exciting show. Let's wrap up. Let me share with you the key messages of this amazing show. We all agree that digitalization is everywhere, and we want to support this with bringing digital infrastructure to all parts on this planet, disregarding where they are, because this is what the users deserve. And This is what we will do together, because this is the foundation for equal quality of life everywhere. Today, we saw how important digital infrastructure will be even more in the future, because the latency is the new currency for exciting applications and services. We see that this should be delivered everywhere because of the needs everywhere. And we also saw how important infrastructure services will become in the future for enterprises. The DE-CIX answer to this is our concept of the DE-CIX Enterprise Interconnection Federation. Now, let me thank all of our supporters. Let's start with our sponsors, making this here happen, building with us this great virtual arena in Madrid. Isn't it beautiful? I enjoyed it a lot. And let me thank a lot our partners and friends across the globe. They contributed a lot. They shared with us great experiences, visions, and their thoughts on how we can make the world a better place with better infrastructure services. Thank you. And thank you, all of you in front of the screens, for your attention and for your passion for our industry. Thank you. Stay tuned, stay healthy, and remember, the industry and the community, the internet, wouldn't be that great without you. Thank you.
ขอบคุณค่ะ
Grazie mille.
Bedankt.
Liels paldies.
Kiitos.
Hvala.
Спасибо большое.
Хейли мамни.
Teşekkür ederiz. Danke.
Tanavad.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.